kind of how everybody feels after today.
Do you feel like if Wake doesn't play, you have enough defensive ends to make it through the game?
Well, obviously, if like him playing would help us a lot, but we just want to make sure that we're being smart with him. But we always have those guys do a good job of having contingency plans and making sure if we got to change some packages around and put some different guys at at those spots to make sure that we are somewhat fresh during the game, we can do that.
Are you surprised that what was probably perceived as the deepest unit on the team has been the most decimated by injuries?
I'm not surprised by anything. I mean, it's just that's just how it goes. Like we're kind of in that part of the season where every team in the NFL is banged up, and probably about this time or the next couple of weeks, that's when everybody kind of starts getting a little healthier, getting guys back from the early injuries, and and then everybody makes that push at the end.
He's on track to play Sunday, correct? Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, once again, it's always nice to get a starter back in the lineup.
How do you view the course of this season or any other season? When you guys started 3-0, you were talking about how there was still a lot that you needed to correct. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you have to be past that. I feel like
it never gets past that.
I mean, there's always things you can do better, but at some point, you have to kind of roll into form.
You want them to be more like the little tiny mistakes. You don't want it to be things like formations, alignments, like those type of things. And I think we've moved away from that for the most part on all three phases. But at the same time, it's all it takes is one to creep in and throw a whole thing off. So it's just that's why you're constantly trying to. As a coach, you're reminding your players over and over again about probably the most basic things, just to make sure, like, all right, we still have it. You don't want to ever think you got it, because that's when you find yourself in trouble.
When do you typically get out of that finding your way phase at the beginning of the season, do you think?
It's probably in the next, few weeks, where you're hoping everybody's kind of really kicking it in all cylinders. Everybody understands, just kind of the process that you're going through for that season. But it changes when your guys change. You start losing some guys, and all of a sudden you can take a few steps back as far as what your process is getting ready for a game.
Every week, I guess, it's played towards Sunday. With Thursday next week, do you have to think injuries, workload, as far as having a game right around the corner?
Our main focus is this week, and that's all our players need to worry about. We've planned out what we need to do for the next so many days a long time ago, and we have some ways to adjust if we need to adjust, if where we're at right now injury wise, and leading after this game, where are we going to be after this game? Because 2 years ago we played in a Thursday game, we lost a ton of guys in the week before. I mean, we were scrambling to put a lineup together. So I mean, it changes fast. Every Sunday's so different. So we'll see how it goes on Sunday, and then we can adjust. But for the most part, we've thought this through pretty good.
Does your familiarity with Patricia add to that? Add to knowing what you have moving forward?
No, I mean you're never for me. I can't do for me when I'm calling plays. I can't go to the next one. I have to wait for this one to be done, because then it just gets all jacked up in my brain.
With AJ Derby, he practiced last week, but wasn't cleared for the game. Is it just a matter of waiting to see him get healthy, or?
Well, it's really just. I mean, I know it's never going to be no pain whatsoever, but I think it's just where he can do the things we need him to do in the run game, pass protection, and with his routes. I think his routes are really the one thing he's good. It's just being able to hold up against either a defensive end, when linebackers blitz or safeties, just to where he feels like he has the right amount of strength in his lower body.
Adam, sticking with the tight ends, how does with Nick's performance last Sunday impact how you use him and the rest of the tight ends going into Sunday?
We're always going to use multiple guys. So, I mean, we have certain personnel groupings for everybody, and we just keep moving guys in and out. And the key is to try to stay as balanced as you can with all the groupings. You don't ever want to be one-sided to where another team can just say, hey, they're doing this when this guy's in. So, we're going to, just keep rotating. I like all those guys when they play. I mean, that's a good group.
How much does him being able to help you as an H-back sort of expand your offense and what you're able to do?
Yeah, that's always helpful, because it just gives you're more multiple. You can do some things that, we really haven't been able to do in this offense. There's a couple of things we did last week that was new, that really probably they didn't think like, all right, they're going to run this. So that's always nice to have. You know, I think anytime you have a tight end that can play on the in line, kind of like that like off wing guy, and then they play in the backfield, it just makes it hard to game plan for.
How did the end of Devontae's week go from a health perspective?
I think it stayed pretty consistent. I think we're just waiting to make sure that we're all good. You know, it's just, you know, when you're dealing with soft tissue stuff, it's just like, things can creep up out of nowhere.
Was there a specific thing with O'Leary, like blocking, for example, one particular thing that you saw from him right away, where you're like, we could definitely play this guy if he can do that, and he'll figure out the rest as he goes?
I remember last year him catching a touchdown pass against us. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind. But then when we started practicing, I'm trying to remember who we were playing, but it was somebody that had a fullback, and he was going in there, and he was hitting with the linebackers pretty good. Yeah, and I don't ever remember having as many defensive players come up to me and ask me when I was going to get them up. And that tells you something like, all right, they think this guy's got something to him. And then we kind of started working him in on some of our stuff because he was trying to learn our offense. I mean, he picked it up pretty quick. And once we started working him in, we just it worked out because we were down a guy. So we were able to, you know, get him up and play him and just kind of see how it went.
What's the longest conversation you've ever had with him?
3 seconds.
So pretty long.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't say much.
Guys, good? Yeah. Thanks.